Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss basic tactical ideas, motives or whatever you call it. So these are like the simple tactics that will allow you to win material in the game. You know, like the instant material would mean like win a pawn or win a knight, win a bishop. Alright, so chess is generally broken down into two parts, the tactics and the strategy. So the strategy is your general idea of how you're going to improve your position and, get to a win advantage, maybe. And your tactics, the tactics is what immediately gives you a win, right? So I don't know if you understand based on that explanation. Alright, but today we're going to focus on pins, forks, and skewers. Those are the three most basic and I would say probably most common tactical motifs that occur in chess games, especially at the beginner level. Especially at all levels, but also at the beginner level. Alright, so here we'll go on. We'll say, okay, so we start with pins. Alright, so what is a pin? So a pin is whenever you have a piece that is attacking another piece, and that piece cannot move out of the way. Why not? So we look at this position right here, so, right? And this bishop is attacking the knight. And the knight cannot move out of the way because the king will be under attack if you see the arrow I drew earlier. So even if I try to move the knight, it's not going to move because, okay, knight is pinned. So a pin is a very good way that we can generally win material. And we'll explore some other examples soon. Alright, so here we have a second position, now the one with the rook. And white can come here. White can come here and attack the knight and pin it, right? Because now, again, if the knight moves out the way, can't, right? Because the king will be under attack. Okay, so black should move out of the pin and defend the knight. So if you realize, he comes here and defend the knight, right? So now, those are just the basic examples. Now we go into some more other examples, really, where you can actually pin and win material. Alright, so this is our first example. Okay, this is the first example we have. And here is black to move, right? So now black has a very good move on the board. You guys can pause the video here and try to solve it. Black has a way that they can pin the white bishop, right? So give you a few seconds to pause. Alright. So black can play the rook here to d6. Now black is attacking this bishop, right? And if you realize this bishop cannot move out of the way, why not? Because you get to the king. So if you try to move the bishop, can't. So we say that that bishop is pinned. No. The problem for white is that white has no way of defending this bishop. So if white moves out of the pin, black would gladly capture the bishop, right? And now black is up a rook and should go into checkmate. So whenever we have pins, there's a lot of times you can pin and win material. So they say pin it to win it, Alright. So we come to our second example and it is black to play again. And if you can spot the move for black, I'll give you a couple seconds, to pause the video if you'd like. Alright. Alright, so the move here is bishop to g7. So before we had a rook move, now we have a bishop, right? So the bishop now comes and is attacking the queen. The bishop's attacking the queen. Can the queen move out of the way? No, because the queen is pinned to the king. Alright, so now white could either choose to capture the bishop or move closer. Probably move closer to defend the queen. Either one, it doesn't make a difference because black would gladly capture the material and be up a full rook. And again, we're going to win this game if they know to check me with a rook and king. Alright. So those examples that we looked at before, those were absolute pins where the piece is pinned and there's no way, the piece cannot move out of the way, right? Literally cannot. That would be illegal and the chess police would come for you and lock you up. But in this other example, this is a relative pin. Now that we say, the queen is attacking this pawn, right? And the queen is behind the pawn. This other queen is behind the pawn. So this pawn can choose to move if they wish, right? Okay. This pawn can move if black wishes, but it just wouldn't be a good move because white would go on to capture the queen. So that is a relative pin where it can technically move, but it wouldn't be advised generally. Alright, so on to our next example. Alright, so here we have what we'll call putting pressure on the pin piece, or PP on the PP. Gotham, please don't sue me. Alright, so what is that? So whenever the piece is pinned, if you can put more pressure on it, if you can attack it more, then they might not be able to move the piece because now it's more of a liability, a weakness, because since it can't move, since it's static, it's fixed. Alright, so in this position, black played the move g5, and white played the amazing move, knight captures on g5. Now, capture, capture, capture. And black realizes that, okay, he needs to defend this knight because white's idea is that they're going to just pile on to the knight and try to win it. If black tries to come onto the pin, white can just capture that knight for free. So black says, okay, let me try to defend that knight. Let me try to defend my heresy. White plays another amazing move, rook f4. And now, even if you move the queen over, white can come here attacking the rook, and now the rook cannot stay here to defend the knight. So, would I try maybe like captures? White hops in his horse into d5, and now he's putting tremendous pressure on this knight. Black comes to defend it. That doesn't really help, because white can just capture here, and still. And this is just a very, very difficult position for white, because he'll straight up lose a knight. And no matter what he plays, for black, sorry. All white is going to do is try to come here and put some more pressure on this knight until he can capture it. And truth be told, white can even capture the knight. No, because after capture, 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 and you just win the queen. So that's the beauty about pinning our opponent pieces, because they can't really, it can get very tricky for them. Alright, so going to our final example about pins, that is. And this is what I like to call, okay, I don't call it anything, but just look at this example. So here we have this rook. We have this rook defending this knight, kind of, right? It seems that way. But is it really defending the rook? Not really. So we have white has a lot of pressure on this knight, and the king is defending it. So if we look, white has the queen, the rook, that's two attackers, and black has 1, 2 defenders, right? But the rook can be counted as a defender, because the rook is pinned. And it's an absolute pin, so the rook very much cannot move any at all. So in this position, white actually has a mate in 1. So if you guys want to pause the video and to try to solve it, you can, but we can just go through it, and we have the move, and queen h7 is just mate, because white cannot really capture this. So if we realize the rook is not really defending the knight, since the rook is pinned, right? So, this rook almost don't exist. Well, it only exists to stop doing them. So generally when you're in a pin though, you want to break that pin. So you don't want to pin up yourself. You don't want to, have your piece and you can't move. So say you're in a pin, you just generally want to get out of that pin real quick. So that white, I just use an example, Alright, so here we move on to the other tactical motif, very common one, is a skewer, right? So I'm sorry if I didn't explain pin properly at the start of the video. So basically a pin is when the smaller piece is in front of the bigger piece, and that smaller piece cannot move because you'll get the bigger piece behind it. Now the skewer is the exact opposite of that, right? So what do I mean? The skewer is when the bigger piece is in front of the smaller piece. So when now you attack that bigger piece, it has to move out of the way and allow you to capture the smaller piece. So skewers are a little bit more forcing than pins generally, but pins are a lot more popular. Since in a skewer you have to move out the piece because your bigger piece is under attack, so you have to respond immediately. A pin is generally less forcing but more popular interest. Okay, alright, so let's go from this position. Alright, so here it's black to move, no, right? And black has a very good move. Black can play rook f1 check, right? Now, after the king moves to b2, black can just capture that queen, and now black will win the game. He'll just come here, maybe. He just push the pawn to promotion. Easy, because the pawn is promoted right here, so. Right, even if the king comes here, so he can guard the promotion square. Alright, so if we want to go quick, what do you call it? Quick replay, right? So here the king is right here and the queen is over here. If the rook attacks in this line, right, he can get to the queen and the king and stuff and all of it. Alright. Alright, let's move on to the other example. Right, so here we have this famous example, maybe. I first saw this in the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. I don't know if you guys ever see that movie or know about it. It's a movie, a document, something, I don't know, or accurate it is. I saw a clip, I didn't watch the entire movie. But it was the Just Waskins or Watkins, I'm not sure his name is pronounced. He's a IM, and it's documenting how, he's the next big American talent in the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. Anyways, if this is a common position or something, it's common, right? So here in this position, it is white to move. And white looks like, if you consider the position, if you think about the position a little bit, you realize that the black pawn is very close to promotion, right? So the black pawn is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away from promotion. The white pawn is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares away from promotion. It's white to move though. So when white comes here, so it'll be 4 and 4. But it seems like black will be promoting first, which is true. But at the end of this line, you might be in for a surprise. So white comes here to push upon, it's trying to promote. Black comes here, white pushes, black pushes, white pushes, black pushes. And everybody's at the edge of their seat. So what's going to happen? Alright, so here black promotes first, and black is celebrating. Yeah, I got a queen. And now white plays the amazing promote to a queen as well. So now, if you guys were paying attention, you guys realize this is a skewer. Oh no. So now the king is under attack and he has to move out of the way. The king has to move. And when the king moves out of the way, white just captures that queen. And now white's the one celebrating. And the checkmate, quick checkmate maybe. And go home and stuff and stuff. Alright, so here's another example of a skewer. So like pins, you have relative pins and absolute pins. Same way like you have skewer, not every skewer is a check, it can be with other pieces. So here in this position, white has the amazing, if you guys want to pause the video, okay. But I already kind of show you guys a little bit. White has the very strong move, rook d1. Now, the rook is attacking the queen right here. And if the queen moves out the way, the rook is behind it. So white will just gobble up that rook. So here, black doesn't really have any good moves because if black moves out the way, there's no way black can move to continue to guard the queen. Move out to the line of the attack of the rook and be able to guard the queen. The rook, sorry. So if black comes here, so white will come down here with mate in 2. Just capture this with this, or if you want to do this, it doesn't really matter. So black kind of just have to really give up the queen because not only is this skewering the rook, it's actually threatening checkmate straight up. So black kind of has to give up the queen maybe, and white will just happy, be celebrating, and probably go on to win this game. Depends on how good white is. Alright, so now okay. Now we're moving on to forks. So those are we're going through pins, skewers. Now we're going through the final one today, which is forks. Now what are forks? A fork is when one piece is attacking 2 or more pieces. Alright, so we have this position. Oh no, sorry, we have no position right now. Alright, so we have a common idea. We're going through a common position that may happen in some games. Alright, so irregular development, and here white moves the knight up here and going for some shenanigans. And black, they probably look to themselves and think, what's this knight doing in my face? Let me kick it out. That would be a blunder, right? Because white would have this move. And now white would be attacking, I took that off. White would be attacking the rook and the queen at the same time. So this would be a fork because the knight is attacking the rook and the queen. Alright, so the most common piece that forks is the queen, but the knight ones are very iconic, so yeah, use a knight fork to start this, for the introduction to forks. Alright, so let's look. So for this part, we're getting a fork with every piece. I don't remember if I did that correctly. Hopefully there's a fork with every piece. Alright, so here we started off with a pawn fork. Alright, so it's white to move. What's the best move for white? You guys don't solve it already. You guys can pause. Can pause the video. Alright, let's go through it now. So white has a very strong move, e4. Alright, so now The white pawn, the king is under attack, the queen is under attack, and it's measly little pawn. Well, not measly, but it's lowly little pawn. He's like, he's very, very humble. He didn't even move the entire game. And black has the queen and the king. And this brave pawn goes up to fight the queen and the king at the same time. And there's nothing really that black can do. Because if black moves out the way, the pawn just wins the queen. And even though the pawn dies, he's very happy to at least bring down a queen with him. Or her, whatever. I mean, pawns are all chess pieces. It doesn't really matter. Chess pieces have no gender. Anyways, but yeah. So the pawn, can play e4, and even if black captures, that's not very good because I mean, it doesn't change the situation really because you just capture back and the pawn is defended by his friend here or her friend, whichever gender the pawn is. Okay, so here we have um, another fork, another example of fork. So it's white to move if you guys want to pause the video here. You guys can. If you don't want, okay. Alright, time's up now. I mean, you guys can pause for longer, but I'll play the solution now. Alright, so now the best move for here, for white in this position, is rook to d5. Now with rook d5, it attacks the knight and the bishop. And what's very funny about this position, very funny for white, not for black, black is very sad, is that black has no moves to defend this knight. So if black moves here to defend the knight, he's saying, okay, alright, let me try this. White can actually just capture that bishop. And the other square doesn't work either because the rook sees that square. So black would have to defend one of these pieces. Black probably comes here, defending the bishop, and the knight, the rook will be able to capture the knight. So something I didn't really say early in the video, which I kind of forgot, and let me go back to the original fork, is that in a fork, you have two pieces on the attack, and you have to move one of them. You don't have to, but you should move one of them maybe. And you generally try to move the more powerful one out of the way. You have to keep one. You have to defend the more powerful one. So here, still the bishop, the knight is forking the queen and the rook. So here, black would probably move the queen here, and white would just gladly capture the rook and be up a rook and probably win the game. All right, so okay, so let's move on. So went to the rook fork, and now we'll go to this other example with the king fork. You don't really see the king doing a lot of tactics very frequently. Alright, so yeah. So the king can come right here, and oh, it's white to play. I'm all over the place. Alright, so here it's white to play, and white can play king c4. Now, what does that move do? Okay, maybe you guys realize. So that move attacks the knight, attacks the bishop, right? Black has to save one. It doesn't really matter because whenever, whatever move black does, white will capture one of them, hopefully. And then white will draw the game, save, complete a dead loss position maybe, and now he'll be able to get a draw because he. So even if black saves one of the pieces, he'll just capture the other one. And the bishop and knight are both worth 3. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. Alright, so here we're going to a different example. Alright, so we're going to play a little game. Well, not we playing a game, we're going to play out a chess game. Play out a game. Where this is going on, and then alright, so we have a similar position right now. So it's black to move, and based on what we went through with pins, you guys might be able to say black's next move. That move is knight to e4. Now, what does that move do? That move attacks the knight, put some more pressure on the knight. So PP and the PP, as I said earlier. By the way, that's a reference to Gotham Chess. He's the one who coined the phrase, I believe. It means put pressure on the pinned piece. It's an acronym. Right, so it's anything suspicious. Alright, so black would come here, might come here, bishop d3, attacking the knight, but that doesn't really do anything for black, because they can just come here, so, and now we see the entire point of this example, if you guys see, It's black to move, and black plays the move bishop c3. Bishop takes it. So now the king is under attack, but also importantly, rook is under attack. And if when white save the king, because it has to save the king, whether it comes here, whether white comes here, or here, black will just capture the rook in every variation, and they'll be up a rook for a bishop. So if maybe plays knight back, so maybe white wants to reserve the option to castle, black will just capture this, and then white will capture back, and black will be at material, and black will be celebrating. They'll be like, yeah, we're gonna win. Alright, so let's look at another example. And this example is taken from one of my games. So I was playing a game recently, and I was watching this position, and I was winning, and I was like celebrating kind of in my head. I was even thinking about dinner. I was like, what am I gonna, probably go out for dinner soon. And it was all good. It was smooth sailing because what? I'm up an entire bishop for not even for a pawn, and it's just easy, And to my surprise, black played the move rook f6. Right? Well, I was surprised when black played this. I knew it was coming, but I realized immediately after I played. But it was still a bit surprising because I was hoping that they would have said rook f6. Alright, but this side, and I have no better option than to just capture this. And the whole idea of this is for the next move, right? That's right. Alright, so you guys can pause the video here and try to find a move for black. The move that black played right in this position and made me very sad. Black played queen captures on d4. Now forking both the rooks. So this is something you don't really see very often because generally when you fork rooks, they might be able to go somewhere and defend each other. For example, say this pawn wasn't here and this king wasn't under attack. This rook might be able to come here and defend his friend, team up and say, yeah, we got this. But you can't do that because so many pieces are all over the board. So yeah, that's very unusual, and I was very sad. And I started to pray, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I said, all right, let me just lock in the same way. And thankfully, I was able to win this position because, but I still lost a rook, and it made the win so much harder. All right, so now we're going to one final example. And even though I went through knight forks already, I was introduced to this concept when I was a kid, so I'm going to also introduce you guys to it. So this is what we call a royal fork. So it's white to play. You guys can pause the video and try to see what white would play. So the best move for white here in this position is knight to f7. Now this is what we call a royal fork. Why is that? Because the king is under attack, the queen is under attack, and the rook is under attack. And I was told by my coach, I very much should verify it on Google, but I'm too. No, I don't know if I can do it. I don't want to do that. Alright, so I was told by my coach that when the king, the queen, and the rook is under attack by the knight, by the one knight, the same knight, that's called a royal fork. It could, so yeah. And I trust my coach. I trust he wouldn't tell me anything wrong. So I'm telling you guys this. And if I'm wrong, please, you guys can always let me know and say, in the comments, you're wrong. That's not what a royal fork is. Anyways, so this is a royal fork, and if the king moves out the way, you'll just capture the queen. And the concept about royal fork that didn't make any sense to me is that why does it matter if the king, the rook, and the queen is under attack when you're going to only capture the queen anyways? So it seemed a bit over the top, but anyway, I'm just telling you guys, anyway. So this is a royal fork again, and when the king moves, you'll just go ahead and capture this queen. Alright, so that kind of concludes the whole stuff, the whole fork stuff, the basic tactical motifs and ideas, pins, forks, skewers, and yeah, you can use these ideas to gain winning position in your games. Alright, so before we close, I want to show you guys a funny thing I saw on the internet. It might take me a little while to load up because I didn't do this immediately. Might cut the video here. So for okay, so for final example, I saw this position in a meme on the internet, so I decided to set it up and share it with you guys. Alright, so right here it's black to play, and white, white has the nice fork. But what is very ironic and hilarious, because all ironies are hilarious. I'm joking, obviously not. What's very ironic in this position that while white has the fork attacking the king and the queen, black only has one move really. I mean, not even really. Black only literally has one move. And when black comes here, so it's actually a straight up check mate into R3. It's 3 because after white comes here, so you just capture this for free and you just capture this. So what is hilarious is that white literally forces the opponent to find mate in 3, which is very funny. Alright, so yeah, that's so this is like a little, I don't know, what we call this? Cautionary tale that not all forks are good, even if you fork the king and queen. So yeah. Alright. Alright guys, so yeah, that's it for that video. That yeah. So we remember we went through the tactical themes. I mean three common tactical motives for beginners. We went through the pin, the fork, pin, fork, skewer, right? So I went through pins, forks, and skewers. So please remember these ideas and look for them in your games because they're good tactics to find and stuff will help you win a lot of games. So yeah guys, that's it. Goodbye. Oh wait, that's it. Goodbye.